So aren't we lucky? First against second.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to my first session watching China play. As I've said several times, I welcome their arrival onto the big stage, one of the world's most populous countries. It's absolutely great that they're taking bridge seriously. Game needs all the help it can get.
Yes, I agree. And you're going to watch them twice, right? Because I think you're coming back to do USA 1 against them later today.
Well, indeed, I'll be doing 2 every day from now on because it's hotting up. And I mean, I think I can say I've enjoyed this tournament as much as any other, really. It's been very good kibitzing.
Yeah. Now I was really planning on commenting in Chinese this morning, but you know, David, how I'm fluent in Mandarin, right? But they wanted it to be in Cantonese, and that is not my style, you know.
Not been your lucky day then.
No, it hasn't. Especially not with the Open team, Danish Open team, disappointingly losing rather big against Argentina, a country we should have defeated in order to be in contention. We're not completely out of it yet, but it's not looking good. On the other hand, I'm very happy to see our women on top of the table, leading at the moment. They had a good match against Australia.
Yes, our fabulous England women are going through a bit of a bad patch, jittering around between 8th and 9th in the table. I know they always start off weakly, but we'd expect them to be somewhere near the top 3 or 4 by now. Hope they can pick up some good results today.
Yes, they're going to qualify for sure. Don't worry about it. They will. Maybe not in among the first 4, but qualify they will. And no one will pick them, you see. If they finish among 5 to 8, it's number 4 they're going to play against, because first, second and third will not pick England.
Anyway, the England Open team are doing so splendidly, then I'll just have to accept whatever happens to the women and the seniors, even though we had high hopes for both of them. And someone pointed out yesterday that England were playing teams right down the bottom of the table in 5 of their last 7 matches. That's certainly what it seemed to me, because I didn't really register having played more than about 1 of the bottom teams over the first several days. So it looks like England have an easy run in, and maybe even some chance of heading the qualifiers, which would be a wonderful moment. I looked at that deal that we discussed quite a lot from yesterday, Roland. You remember that both 4 spades that Robson played could have gone down, also 4 hearts at the other table, plenty of interest in that. The moment that Gold was referring to was when he bit of good fortune at both tables, and the match ended well.
Hello, Bill. Good evening to you in Melbourne.
G'day guys, how are you?
I'm well
Well,
rested
I'm well rested.
because I sat out this morning. I did 15 matches on the trot, so I thought I deserved a rest, Bill.
But there's a little bit of bad news on the scheduling today that Roland and I have been discussing, that the crunch match between Denmark and Sweden, who are 8th and 10th, so a very important match between a local derby match as well, hasn't been chosen for BBO, and despite one or two emails going in, it's too late to change it really. Once it's been published what games are going to be on, they say they want to give everyone a chance to appear on BBO at least once, so they put in a match between two of the tail enders. That's fair enough, but I'm sure with 6 matches to be chosen they could have fitted in Denmark, Sweden somewhere. But anyway, just one small thing, the tournament's been going very, very well in the main, and the coverage has been marvellous on BBO.
Yes, we shouldn't complain too much, but you could call me biased, of course, and of course I am, because I'm half Danish and half Swedish. But it seems strange to show number 20 against number 21, Guadeloupe against Jordan, when we have Denmark against Sweden, 8th and 10th. I'm sure you agree, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, you would have thought you could have fitted them in. It seems wrong to me.
Well, I'm very happy to see Guadeloupe and Jordan playing. I'd have quite enjoyed that myself, but what would have been interesting for Kibitzer would be to see one of the really big teams like France, USA 1 or something, to see how they attempt to extract a really big score out of playing against someone down the bottom of the table. And that would be a glamorous moment for the Guadeloupe and Jordan players when they were facing some of the world's top stars. So I'm sure they would have preferred to be on, if they were going to be on BBO only once, they might have preferred to be on when they were facing world famous players, not playing against each other.
Yep. Okay, off we are. Bill, can I ask you to get the Chinese cards? Or card, rather.
Sure, will do.
At least I can pronounce the names, I think. And they fit in. 3 letters. Really amazing. Leo and Hao. Wow. Strong club, I think it's fair to say.
Yes, it's definitely a strong club.
The one spade, does it show hearts positive or balance positive, Bill?
8 to 13 balanced, or 16 plus balanced.
In other words, it's the classic one no trump response from the original precision. They've just replaced it by 1 spade. And this is the sort of deal where it can be right to play in 3 no trumps instead of 4 hearts to avoid a spectacularly bad heart break. But they do have the 10-9 and the hearts aren't breaking badly anyway, so it won't matter.
Now, there's obviously an error from the other room. I mean, it's shown as being passed out. And that's safe, because then you can't go down, of course. Do we know? No. Do we think? Do we guess? If they had a choice about which hand should declare here, we don't know.
Yes, outside the hearts you can only see 8 tricks in no trumps, so doesn't seem any reason to mark 3 no trumps as a better contract.
Well, Kipper tells me that there's a risk of losing 3 hard tricks. Well, indeed, you can lose 3 if you really want to, but I doubt that declarer will.
Well, he doesn't have the 8, so he's got no chance of finessing against the Queen and the Jack.
Is this the correct suit play in isolation, looking at the trumps? When you can afford several losers, maybe it's better to duck completely. If you don't fear a ruff, just to duck in both hands. What do you think? If he's at the stiff ace, then what?
Well, I don't know, you're dealing with tiny percentages, we'd have to look it up on suit play, unless Mr. Panjo knows everything.
Okay, I did look it up on suit play, and for what it's worth, declarer is taking the percentage play at this point. I'm running the 10 or the 9. And suit play interestingly says that when West plays the 8, he should play low.
And then he would have lost 3 tricks. Okay.
Kind of surprises me a little.
Well, it's just saying that Ace-Jack Doubleton or Ace-Queen Doubleton is twice as likely as Queen-Jack Doubleton. It's an example of restricted choice.
Right, it no longer surprises me.
Now you can ignore the 10 imps, of course. I have an account in the other room. And although it is scored as a pass out, I don't believe them one bit.
Anyway, despite what suit play said, the Chinese declarer did the right thing, because in the broader sense, he's more than happy to lose 3 hard tricks. If he covers the 8 with the king and it loses to the ace, then there's no problem, because that means hearts are 3-2.
Yes. How often do you have the luxury of affording to lose 3 trump tricks and still make your contract? Not often. Right.
No, they were very well protected on all the side suits, but it might have been an extra consideration if a short suit had been led and there was a risk of a ruff. Do we have Bakshi and Gold at the other table, Roland?
Indeed.
England have a very strong team entered for this event. We were all pleased to see back home. We don't have a sponsor in the team, but it's reckoned that our top lineup is Robson, Forrester, Bakshi, Gold.
With the South cards, so they must have an agreement that 3 diamonds showed a pit for hearts, West doubles 3 diamonds, and North jumped to 4 hearts. Now here it's interesting because Robson, at favorable vulnerability, introduced his spade suit.
Well, that was a very risky bid, and that's the sort of style that he follows, and here it appears to have been rewarded. Gosh, imagine the courage it takes to bid
Well, this is going to be cheap potentially. I think it's going to cross rough quite a long way here. North might be best off switching to a trump. Let's see, can he visualise that? Yes, he should be able to visualise that option, given that the long club's in dummy.
Yes, he led the king, and he will have had a count signal from partner on a king lead, so he knows another heart is going to stand up. However, by cashing that second heart, he is giving a route back to the west hand to proceed with the cross ruff, even if he switches to a trump now. So that's why he's lost the chance to get it 3 off by cashing that other heart.
Well, didn't it have cross rough written all over it from North's point of view? So that a trump shift looked normal? I think so.
Yes, he's going another defensive way. He's trying to somehow wrest control away from Declarer. The problem is Declarer's going to take too many tricks in the process of losing control.
South does indeed have 4 trumps, as North is hoping, but the spot cards are not that brilliant. But on the other hand, you can't expect Robson to risk bidding 4 spades unless he had a pretty chunky 4-card suit. Getting out for 500 would not have been worth the considerable risk that Robson took. But of course, getting out for 300 will be solid plus.
Yes, that's worth 8 imps if he can get out for down 2, and it looks like it now. And now see that we have the great Patrick Huang among the commentators doing the written part of it. Nice to see him here.
Robson is in the very happy position of knowing that he won't be over-roughed in diamonds or clubs because of the bidding that North made is to no trump bid.
So you see, board 1 has been corrected, and we're back to 0-0. Obviously, it wasn't a pass out in the other room.
Yeah.
But
5 hearts.
well, yeah, was a little scary for England fans because Golden Bakshi bid to 5 hearts, and there you can't afford to do the wrong thing in hearts.
Yeah. That's where the suit play recommendation would have led you down. Fortunately, South wasn't equipped with suit play at the table, and at some point he just let a heart to the king.
Are you saying that David Gold didn't know his odds, Bill?
Yep, exactly. Who knows? Perhaps they let ace and another heart.
It's surprising that a super brain like Robson's can't work out the continuation of the play here. I'm not saying I can, but it doesn't seem to be a problem with that many alternative solutions to look at.
In fairness, I mean, otherwise I'll hear for it from David Gold later. The official scoring says 4 hearts plus 1. So perhaps the contract wasn't 5 hearts.
Yeah, that's much more understandable, isn't it? Because really with 11 opposite 18, 17, I don't see a top-class pair venturing beyond game. There's just not the values, is there?
Which hand do you think he should take the rough in?
My inclination is to take it in hand, so that I can rough diamonds with the 2 and the 5 of spades. That's my inclination, but I could be wrong, for sure.
No, I was thinking that. You don't, I mean, if you get over-roughed by South, you'll have to over-rough in turn, and you've used up 2 trumps on 1 trick.
Yeah. I tend to agree with Bill, though. What's the point of roughing in dummy? I mean, you know, you're getting over rough then, and then you're shortening both hands. Shouldn't you take it in hand?
Well, on this sort of hand, he has to calculate the trick play right down to the wire to make sure that he's not going to run into a trump promotion. Now he's roughed high in that hand.
Yeah, the rough and over rough doesn't cost, because now the king of clubs stands up as a trick, so you get the trick back that way. That's why I think Gibb was saying you could play any of the 9 cards, or 8 cards, 9 cards from the east hand, and it'll all lead to down 2, somewhat humorously.
Now the odds strongly favour that the finesse of the queen will work, with North showing this 2-suitor being short in diamonds, but Robson may calculate that he doesn't need to take the finesse. One would have imagined that would have been part of his long think previously to deciding to rough with the 10, but apparently not.
Just checking his calculations. I think he will finesse it, if nothing else, based on the bidding. The South's jumped to 4 hearts. Not that the King of Diamonds is a great card from South's perspective, but otherwise he would have been jumping to 4 hearts on basically a 6 count. Not even a particularly attractive one.
Yeah. Oh, you see, he's seen 14 high card points in the north hand already. So surely South must have the ace of spades and king of diamonds.
Well, I mean, the fact that he's thinking so long shows that he appreciates if he finesses and it loses and he then gets a trump switch, the penalty may mushroom. So even if South's a favourite to hold it, it's easy for us to finesse and not so easy for him.
I agree there, David. That is.
Well, I don't know why rough with the 10 then. Why not just discard a club, rough with the 8, and start cross-roughing? That's going to take a lot of tricks that way. So I'm a bit confused on his general line. Maybe the problem was... No, I think he mucked this up.
The point about the 10 of spades was valid, Bill. So now that he did, and he didn't finesse in diamonds, well, the reason was, of course, the horror scenario that David mentioned, that it loses, and they play spade, spade. And how many tricks will he take then? Not many, right? So he was happy with 500 here.
Yes, he's gained something like 3 imps instead of 8. But had the finesse lost and they drew 2 rounds of trumps, then a much bigger number of imps would have been at stake. So I don't blame him for playing the ace of diamonds at all.
No, I certainly don't blame him for playing the ace of diamonds, but until proven otherwise, I'm going to blame him for playing the 10 of spades.
Yeah, well, that can be right. Yeah, I'm sure I agree with you. bidding 3 spades is a risk you just have to take over a preempt, but that too could have been expensive. Dangerous to bid 3 spades, dangerous not to bid 3 spades, so seems like they will have done the same at the other table. Yes, the auction was the same there.
Just normal bridge. Nothing different from real life, you know, dangerous to get out of bed and dangerous to stay in bed.
Well, one can add to that, dangerous to get married.
Yeah, but how can it be dangerous not to get married?
Well, isn't he in some danger here? Rough, ace of spades, spade, and then he's got to get the rest. Doesn't look that easy to me. He's got to win the spade in hand and play the jack of clubs. Perhaps I'm missing something here.
Yeah. The point. How did the play go in the other room? Let me check.
Well, North switched to a diamond, just like here, but you try playing it now and this might be double dummy, on ace and another spade, so there's only one rough. Maybe there's still no problem because there are 2 pitches.
Yeah. Diamond switched to the queen in the other room, but I don't think that makes much difference.
Well, actually there's not 2 pitches because he can't play the king of hearts until all the trumps have gone. So I think that a switch to ace and another spade here would have forced declarer to make a very unusual play in the club suit. Playing the jack covered with the queen and king, then back to the ace and then a roughing finesse against the 9. That's not going to happen.
Well, wait a second. Isn't North squeezed in the minus, Bill?
Well, it doesn't look like there's any communication there. You're surely going to go for 1 club rough, aren't you?
Yes. I don't think the squeeze works. I think it's got to be the unusual play in clubs. I guess it's pretty hard to find the ace and another spade play. I mean, North doesn't know about the club suit, but it must have been possible.
Might have been more likely to do it if he had 3 low trumps, but ace 9 to 4 looks like the sort of thing you may need to hold on to.
Well, you don't have to rough any clubs, do you? For the squeeze to operate. You just draw trumps, rough a diamond, and then North gets squeezed. Did I miss something?
Well, how do you rough diamonds? I suppose he plays ace and another spade. Where are you going to win it, Roland? Doesn't really matter. There's no communications to the dummy.
Well, still have the king of clubs there.
Right, that's the only entry. Don't tell me you can operate a squeeze with that. Let's see now, you're going to win, diamond to the king. So the trouble is the diamond suit's blocked up. Oh, I see what you're saying. Second trump to the jack, ace of diamonds, diamond ruff.
Yeah.
Spade, spade. No, that doesn't work, Roland. I only have to find one pitch, and it's going to be a club.
Tim Burke agrees with Bill. I don't know if that's because they're both Australian or because they're both good analysts.
Good on you, Tim. That's the boy.
I'm sorry, but I see the squeeze.
Yes, I see the squeeze now. Club to the king and then the king of hearts. Both the Aussies are wrong, and that operates the squeeze.
Thank you very much. I thought I had gone mad here. Of course, I may be mad, but
Not on this deal.
no.
Well, it's a very pretty position, isn't it? Because that squeeze would work also on the shift to the ace and another spade. It just changes the order of the tricks, but nothing further.
Yeah, it's quite pretty. I like that. What happened in the other room after the diamond switch, Bill, to the queen and ace?
I think the play's gone the same way, essentially.
Did he claim on a squeeze?
He did? Well, he made it on a squeeze.
Well, that's a fabulous flat board then, so congratulations to the two declarers. Wonderful to see. That's what we expect 1 and 2 in the current rankings, and they play a hand that wonderfully. Well done.
Well, got a message. We have to say well done to Robson for seeing it without looking at the hand records. Well, yeah, well, some people saw it also without being distracted. It's not an insult. It's not intended as an insult, Bill. Don't worry.
Apparently this 3 imps has just been enough to put England into first place in the ranking list.
Wrong game in the other room. 5 diamonds. But say you're in 3-note trumps. That can go down as well, as long as Norse doesn't give you a trick in spades. Or is there another squeeze without the count? Or an end play? Let's analyze that. Well, really, no need to, because then 5 diamonds here as well. I suppose you can set up an end play again against North to lead away from the ace of spades. In 3 no trumps, that is. Do you agree with me there, David, Bill? It's academic, I know, because North's bid 4 spades.
To make 5 diamonds, you would need some sort of miracle elimination play that would rely on the heart finesse being right and reasonable trump break and them not being able to unblock in clubs.
Is there an argument that is there any case for Robson not bidding 5 diamonds here? Exactly got a great hand with his King X of spades.
I was thinking the same, Bill. Well, some say that you should only take out now if you expect to make. You don't expect to make 5 diamonds, looking at the King of spades. So I think that's the case for passing. What do you...
The problem I have with that argument is that the teams running first and second have both played bid 5 diamonds. That's kind of a statistical data point that is hard to ignore.
Yeah, but I think you should ignore that.
Well, you're surely expecting 4 spades to make on that bidding. North bid 4 spades to make, and you've got King 1 under the strong holding. So I'm not sure that 5 diamonds is marked as being wrong.
Yeah, I'd take a small issue with that. I don't think that 4 spades has to be bid to make. North might be a law of total tricks or law of total trumps follower and simply be bidding to the 4 level with a 10 card fit.
Okay, yeah, I concede that. Also causing a problem for East if he had some more shapely hand that he'd like to describe. Yeah, so I was wrong on that comment. But anyway, I'm prepared also to agree with Bill's previous point that if the teams lying first and second in the Bermuda Bowl after so many days both think it's a 5 diamond bid, then you know, who are we to say on just because of one hand that it's wrong?
Ah, what the heck. Yes, I think it was wrong.
But it was wrong. This match is...
They don't keep these voice commentaries, do they, Roland? They get thrown away, so it doesn't stay around, does it?
No, they don't. They're going onto YouTube, a lot of them. The great Aurora of BBO has put up several, so I had to think back to I had to think back to some of the comments I made in earlier matches. See if I'd said anything too unfortunate.
You're wrong about that. Diana tells me that it's still done manually by her. So, if she does record the matches, then it will just be a random match, you know, occasionally. I can't rule out that this will be one of them, of course, but don't worry, they will not all be there, David.
Sure you didn't hear me say they would all be there when there are 10 matches every day or something, every round. No. It's a bit like the nuclear deterrent. You cannot be sure that it will never be used, and so you have to be careful what you say when you're commentating.
Oh, God.
But you're safe now, because Diana is not online. So I think it's safe to assume that this is not recorded.
Excellent. Okay, get ready for some ridiculous commentary.
Well, you be careful, Bill, because one of my regular kibitzers, who in fact is watching all the matches with her husband, they're retired, actually took a holiday or something to watch it. She says that they tape it so they can rewatch them later. How marvellous.
Now this match is obviously the pick of the round. So we have almost 2,500 spectators at this table already, which is great, really great. Back to you, David. One hard show spades, by the way.
Doesn't look like Robson will be considering anything other than 4 spades as the final contract. You may have a choice of placing it in one or other hand.
Yes. Normal contract. 4 spades has 1 hard loser, 2 clubs presumably. So you need to guess the queen of trumps here. Two-way check back, 2 diamonds, game forcing relay, asking for more information. 2 hearts showing 4 hearts. Doesn't deny 3 spades as far as I know. You give the cheapest information first.
Does one no trump promise at least 2 spades, do you think?
Yes, it would be unusual to rebid one no trump with a singleton.
Well, Lou has to start with a heart, which otherwise I think if he leads any other suit he gives away the contract, doesn't he? So the heart would get your seal of approval, David, would it not?
Well, it sure would, yeah. Leading from honours is always a dicey business. Leading from 3 low is right by a country mile, as we might say over here in Hampshire.
Yeah, in Sussex too, by the way. Let's go back to one no trump. One no trump denied 3 spades, so Robson knew that already.
Well, my point was that in England a lot of people playing natural methods are quite happy to rebid one no trump with a singleton in partners major, so I wondered what Forrester might have done if he had, say, a 1-4-4 forehand.
but they're supposed to open one diamond with 1444, David. It was played by East in the other room, which was lucky for England, and lucky that South didn't lead away from a king. Here we have it again. He led the 10 of diamonds. Now Leo must have read your book, David.
Well, it's just blindingly obvious anyway. Imagine how worried you'd be if you led any of the other three suits. It's one of the main reasons why plain suit Doubleton leads, leading from too low, is an absolutely wonderful lead. Much better than people have realised for ages, and part of the reason for that is that you won't give a trick away. Another is that you may promote partners' honours in the suit by leading towards them in the same way that Declarer does when he leads from his own hand or dummy towards an honour. So leading from shortish suits where you've got no honour is a very promising lead in general.
Now that helps enormously. Now you don't need the Queen of Spades.
Yes, the warning against leading from honours applies at trick 2 as well as at trick 1. And I think South would have been a little nervous about leading the club because of the 10 in dummy. That's kind of an honour. But he didn't want to lead a diamond. He had to play the heart back.
So, nice swing here coming for England.
Well, that wasn't very easy for South, I think. He could see that his partner almost certainly wouldn't have led away from the Queen of Hearts. So he was expecting a discard or two to come, and maybe even 2 discards on the hearts. So I think I might well have made that club switch as well. Although kibitzers are saying it looks awful. I certainly don't think it was very easy for him.
Well, awful is an awful adjudication. I agree with you, David. I think the club back was necessary. He couldn't see West's hand, so the interesting hand was hidden, which was not the case at the other table, and I think the club back was pretty normal, even though it was disastrous.
Now going back to the auction, I'm reliably informed that they are supposed to open one diamond with 1444, but that Forrester is known to open one club on occasions and has done it. So yes, David, in theory he could have been 1444.
I assumed that was why Robson went round the houses showing his spades another time, just in case he could diagnose when there was a singleton and it might be better to play in 3-no trumps. Anyway, that water has flown well past the bridge and we're on to the next hand.
Wonderful pun there. Past the bridge. Lovely. Lovely.
Unintended, as are most puns. No pun intended, you put in brackets, yeah. To show that you'd noticed it, but you didn't notice it at the time you actually wrote the word.
not a lucky board for declarer. Here, of course, spade 4-2, ace of hearts off, so this will go down.
USA 1 and 2 are currently 6th and 8th in the table, so USA 2 are putting on a spurt. USA 1 are a bit below where they were at one stage. Anyway, supporters over there will be hoping that both of those teams qualify, which wasn't a certainty a couple of days ago, not a certainty now.
At long last, our boys are having a good match against India, up by 29 after 5 boards, and they are really in contention now, in 10th place, not far away from 8, and that makes it even more disappointing that we're not going to watch Denmark-Sweden in the next round. I promise to stop that now.
Well, we can both have another burst at the start of the next match, Roland.
Just a normal flat board here. 2 down. And David, you and I can both be happy as far as the women are concerned in this round. England leading big, 34-0 against India, and Denmark also doing quite well, up by 16.
Right, thanks for the good news. I had bad news on that front yesterday. I think I'll just treat myself to a glimpse of that scoreline.
And Bill is going to analyse this hand for us. It's a very difficult 3-note trumps. Actually, a funny hand, because it's very, very difficult to go down. Look at all the intermediate cards also. The 9 of diamonds, the 10 of hearts, 9 of spades. They're all wonderful cards, aren't they?
I wonder if it's ever happened on a deal like this, for example, that the play has been exactly the same on all 13 tricks at 2 tables. very unlikely to happen, even if it's roughly the same, because players tend to vary their spot cards a bit, style of leads, and or which order they play the suits when they're ready to cash. And I suppose it's possible that it might one day.
Then North will have to switch to the Jack of Hearts for it to be exactly the same. Now Bakshi and Gold lead second through Declarer. So that's why you saw the Jack. Here we see the Queen, basically the same.
See, that's the standard play in spades, to lead twice towards the Queen Jack, and then you make 3 tricks whenever the King's on side.
Yeah, they can hold it to 10 tricks here. And will. One imp to China.
Well, that's well done. Some players wouldn't think of doing that. Can't sniff at 1 imp. We've seen a few scores of 20 in these 16 board matches. They're pretty rare though. Do you happen to know, Roland, what margin of defeat you need to pick up a 20?
You mean 20 VPs? How many you need there? No, I have to look it up, Dave.
No, I have to look.
16
Probably something like
16
60 or 70. It's quite a lot anyway. The scale tapers off when you get up near that number. Oh, it's 60, I'm told. Just thinking as we're watching these flattish boards that some teams are facing someone down the bottom of the table and they desperately need to get something near 20, and if the boards are flat, that becomes more difficult. So there's some sort of luck involved when you're playing a team near the bottom, whether the boards are swingy. Just have one piece of bad luck where they pick up 13 against you due to bad luck, and then you may find it difficult.
I think this is an interesting bidding problem. One club, one spade, pass. What is South supposed to do now? 2 clubs, if played as a sound spade.
jump to 3 no trumps facing a 1 level overcall non-vulnerable. Having said that, I mean, South bid 2 clubs, and which will nearly always show that he's got at least 3 card pit for spades. North then indicated a minimum, and he did bid 3 no trumps, but he's hoping that even if they don't have a particularly high number of points, maybe they can make a lot of spade tricks.
But if you're not strong enough to jump to 3 no trumps over 1 spade, David, what difference does it make now? I mean, then you should bid 2 no trumps now, shouldn't you? Rather than 3 no trumps.
Well, he's hoping that having the queen in his doubleton of spades is going to increase. I mean, partner might have, for example, ace jack 10 to 6 and another good card or so, and that may be worth 6 tricks in spades with the king on side, and he's got 2 aces, king and a queen to come. So he's thinking that because of his queen doubleton, he doesn't necessarily need the full quota of points.
But you started by saying that South isn't good enough to jump to 3 no trumps over 1 spade. But isn't that basically what he did here?
I'd said that 15 points is not necessarily enough, but he has judged that this 15 points, with the queen of spades and quick-looking tricks outside, not queens and jacks that will need to be established with maybe insufficient stoppers somewhere, he's judged that it is worth enough, even though other 15s might not be. In other words, it's a very good 15.
Meanwhile, great nerve-wracking lead from Robson. Declarer's puzzled about how to go about this hand.
Yeah, I think he has to take it in hand, Bill, and play the queen of spades.
Well, Patrick was suggesting duck once, which is disastrous if diamonds are 5-3, because that means it'll be continued and his entry as a dummy is gone. Grilling is a very awkward position for Declarer.
It is, because winning in hand is also dangerous, because even if you have 5 spade tricks, you still only have 5 spades, 2 diamonds and 1 heart. So that would rely on the king of hearts to be on side. Normally, I mean. Not here, because diamonds are 6-2 and West has the ace of clubs.
So maybe Patrick's idea is best. If he ducks, wins the second one, knocks out the spade, wins the third one, third diamond. Now diamonds are exposed, but he can lead towards the queen of clubs. If Robson has led from a 3-card diamond suit, there's no entry to East's hand. This is the same.
He's relying on the queen of clubs to be an entry, you mean?
Yes, yes. After all, 1 club's been opened, so the queen of clubs, the ace of clubs will be with West.
It's not likely that diamonds are 4-4 from his point of view, even though West hasn't given away much about his distribution. He would have opened 1 club, even if he had 2 clubs and 4 diamonds. But Declarer can see the 9 and the 8, and you're not likely to lead the jack from jack 10 fourth.
Well, if diamonds are 4-4, there's no risk to the contract because you're just going to lose a spade, a club and 2 diamonds. It's the 5-3 fit that's dangerous, the 5-3 split.
Yes, but I was pointing out in his planning he should not allow anything for them being 4-4 because it's unlikely that they are.
It would have been better to play the queen here, because now Declarer knows that the jack was from shortage, now that he sees the 10.
Well, I think you're right, Roland. If he'd played, but on the other hand, Robson's not going to play the 3 of diamonds as his second round of the suit from Jack 10-3, so it probably didn't make much difference.
If the Jack denies the Queen, I think it does, then he knows that Robson has the Ace of Clubs, of course, but also the King of Hearts, because the Queen of Diamonds is marked in the East Hand. So the Guerra not too concerned anymore because he's just thrown all his diamonds away. But one, only the Queen out, so he's in good shape. Why didn't he throw the 9 of diamonds? Gerhard, hello. It's not a rule, but it's normal procedure that we don't have 4 voice commentators at one table, because the risk of people talking over each other is greater, of course. Hope that's okay with you. Maybe he's not even listening to me.
Well, I think this has been quite an interesting hand, and sometimes when you haven't watched a match and you go and look in the BBO view graph archives, I tend to just look at the deals where there's been a big swing. But of course, by doing that, good idea as it may seem, you may miss out when there's been plenty of interest in a flat board.
Right, halfway through now, and on to a game bid in the other room by the Chinese pair, 5 diamonds.
Two hearts opening by North at the other table, raised to 3 hearts preemptively. West bid 3 spades, East 4 clubs, 4 diamonds to 5 diamonds, so they had a preemptive barrage against them, but didn't work out very well. I wonder if they'd have got to 5 diamonds under their own steam, maybe. Not so easy after a 1 diamond opening, so this could be a swing.
Yes, the position 1 diamond may do the trick for the Chinese here. Because what is 2 diamonds now? and is he good enough to bid it, even if it is natural? Two clubs is non-forcing, of course, because partner is a passed hand.
Well, why not bid it? I mean, the precision 1 diamond doesn't show diamonds. It could have diamonds, but it could be as few as a doubleton, I imagine.
Yes, but the point that I was trying to make, Bill, is that it may not be safe to bid on with the West cards when partner bids 2 clubs as a passed hand. You see?
Oh, I see.
They pass it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that that's necessarily wrong from West's point of view. He knows there's no spade fit. That was just a pretty fabulous board for China at the other table, so it would have been difficult for East-West to replicate that.
Yeah, it needed the preempt to catapult them out of control, up into the stratosphere. And it worked. Without the preempt, I mean, even if West had bid 2 diamonds and East bid 3 diamonds, still a long way to 5 diamonds. They're not going to get there, are they? But that's the way that goes when you toss the ball up into the air like North did at the other table. You win some and you lose some.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of hands where that sort of opening has won some. Often with opening the most horrible of 5-card hearts used. So there we are. That's luck evening itself out, even if it doesn't seem to when you lose some unlucky swing.
Yeah. Perhaps Patrick Huang has a point here. That it is safe maybe for West to bid again, because he has a little extra for his overcall, and can perhaps stand 3 clubs if partner has no fit for diamonds. What do you think? He does have the 10 of clubs. It's a partner great to have. Here, that we're not rude, and particularly me. Now that Gerhard isn't here anymore, one of our yellow hosts suggested that he removed Gerhard from the table, and I said, yeah, but don't do it unless you send him a private message and tell him why. So that is exactly what happened. So he wasn't thrown out as such. Just wanted to explain that.
Well, I can say that I often join sessions in the middle and see that there's some really thrilling match going on. I would never think of adding myself to when there were already 3 commentators there. That's happened to me already. When USA won, I found out very late we're playing against England. But Roland already had 2 other English commentators with him, so I commentated at the other table on that occasion. 3 is plenty of commentators, you know. Sometimes we think 2 works better than 3, although Bill and Roland and I is my favourite trio, so I'm always very happy to be part of that.
So let's just say that the 11 imps to China here was caused by the precision 1 diamond opening and the 2 hard opening in the other room. Can happen. And I don't think East-West did anything, or West did anything wrong here. So it just happens. Good news for you, David, is that the women still up by 34 in their match against India.
Yes, that's good, although I see that the Indian ladies team is right at the bottom of the table actually, so they don't have the power of the England men's of the Indian men's team. Anyway, it's good, yeah, but I mean they're still not in the top 8 even, well, they may have just crept into 8th place. Last time I looked they were already on 16-17 and they hadn't got back the damage from yesterday where they had some poor results. Yes, England are in 9th place and the top 8 go through. They're sort of comforted by the fact that they've got a big gap below them to 10th. There is a full 20 VP gap below, so that is quite a lot to catch up, although it can be done. But really there are 9 teams chasing 8 qualifying places.
Yeah, it's likely that just one of the top 9 at the moment will miss out.
However, if you look at the top 9 teams, they're all pretty famous women's teams. There's no one who's there by surprise. So the team that doesn't get through is going to regard themselves unlucky. Pretty strong field there. We haven't had any teams dropping out of the ladies event.
I think this is quite a nice declarer play problem. Diamond to the Jack and Queen. Have a think about how North should attack it. He's really only got one fast entry to dummy.
Yep, and he'd like to finesse in both majors, of course.
Some of these hands think, well, if I take a losing finesse in one suit, I should try to leave myself with a high card in that suit to get back to take the other finesse. They're hard to take, those finesses, but they are at least into the hand but can't continue diamonds effectively.
Hamas, did Forrester just lead away from a king? He did. But that's okay against no trump. And he can be a very effective lead against no trump, from length, of course. So that's completely different. Now, let's go to the other room, where it was much easier for declarer, because he got the lead of the singleton Jack of clubs. And now his clubs were protected, so he could win the ace of clubs in the dummy at trick 1 and take one finesse. You see the difference a lead makes? A little strange, actually, that you lead a singleton against no trump.
Well, South had bid Stayman and West had doubled for a lead on Queen 8-6 with only one entry, which was borderline. Don't know whether that was right or not, but anyway, that's what happened.
So getting back to David's point, the 10 of hearts play, finessing in hearts, is the play that retains an entry. For the Queen of Hearts, with the Queen of Hearts, if the heart finesse loses. The fly in that ointment, which may well come to pass, is if the 10 of Hearts wins the trick.
Yeah.
North has already denied 4 hearts in the bidding, no doubt. So Forrester will read declarer for Ace Jack X when he runs the 10.
In fact, if the 10 of Hearts wins, declarer's problems are over. Actually, if the 10 of Hearts loses, declarer's hand problems are over as well, because he's got 9 tricks. So there's not a lot of risk in this hand.
Yeah, if the 10 holds, you can switch to spades, and you have 9 tricks. 3, 5, 7, 9. Yeah. If the 10 holds, you can just play spades now.
And if it loses, both minors, as it turns out, are safe because the Jack came down on the first round. So the Jack of clubs is a welcome card, really kills the defence.
Don't know if we can assume that that was a slow duck of the King of Hearts, just from the timing as we saw the cards appearing on the green background. Anyway, declare can do fine now by playing Ace and Ace of Hearts. Continuing the suit. Can't do any damage, and he can get back to dummy with a... No, he can't get back with a spade, can he?
Not so sure about that play, but it's going to turn okay because poor old East has got no good solution here.
He would have no good solution even if he had another club. Bill. So yeah, I think it was right the way we saw it. That Forrester did think about it before he ducked, and I think that's fair enough because he has a bridge problem. So you're allowed to think that, and I think that was a pause.
Yes, so now Declarer does get over to his 10-9 of spades when Forrester was forced to lead the suit.
I think he'll make 12 tricks, pick up 2 imps.
So I think when the top two teams play each other, if they end up with a near draw, which they may do, they're probably both fairly happy. The only thing they're worried about in first and second place is getting really hammered and dropping down to fourth or fifth and then being at risk of another poor board. England, as I mentioned, have a lot of weakish teams still to play. This is one of the few good teams still to... Have they played against USA 2 yet, Roland? Is that the team that they haven't played yet?
Not sure. I really can't remember all that. I'm sorry. But it sounds right, because when I look through the table and look at the top teams, I think England played against everyone except USA 2, perhaps. Yes. Poland? Oh, wait a second. Poland? Did they play against Poland? I don't think so. So that's a tough opponent.
Poland, yes, and Poland have just moved into first place, in fact. They lost one of their pairs, were not invited to compete, and they have been allowed to bring in a very strong third pair. Some discussion about that. So, don't know if anything's going to happen in that regard.
They played their first match Wednesday afternoon, the last match Wednesday. The new pair, Gavris Klukowski. And the other teams England will play against, David, are Japan, Guadeloupe and Argentina.
So, thanks for that. They're playing one of those in the third match today, do I take it?
Not sure about the
No,
order.
anyway, that's the order. So now West has to evaluate how strong a raise of spades. Is he going to make a splinter bit in hearts? I would think so. Well, the 3 hearts is generally played as a splinter, typically a singleton. 4 hearts probably show a void. But does he think that that shows enough about his overall strength in the other 3 suits? It's all very well to jump all the way from a spade up to 4 hearts and show the void, but how much strength is Forrester going to expect? As he's got his ace-king wasted, he would sign off anyway, but could have been tricky. He's just bid 3 hearts. Could have been tricky otherwise.
I agree with 3 hearts, by the way. And I have the order of play for you here, David. next match today is against Japan, and tomorrow Guadeloupe, Poland and Argentina.
Very good hand for splinter bids, not because it's a wonderful fit, but because it's an awful fit, and Forrester knows that as soon as he hears 3 hearts.
Enterprising lead. I hope I don't have any students in the audience. I keep telling them that they shouldn't underlead an ace against the suit contract, and they just keep telling me, but they do that all the time on Vugraph. Yeah, and what am I supposed to say then?
Well, first of all, they don't do it all the time on Vugraph, and secondly, they tend to do it when they know that the dummy is very strong and is likely to have the king there. Typical example that you always see is King Jack guess, and partner makes the queen, but sometimes he doesn't put the queen up, or doesn't put the king up for sure. If he doesn't think you're going to underlead an ace, he may not bother putting his king on in some circumstances, and we've seen that more than once, even on BBO, that declarer makes a surprise win of the first trick with the ace and king missing.
Yeah, I'm advised that I should say, as a reply to that, when you're good enough to be on Vugraph, then you can underlead aces. Is that rude?
Actually, I think the reverse is the case. I think that very bad players, or very non-Vugraph players, shall we say, do a lot better underleading aces than do good players. First of all, their partner blindly plays third hand high, so there's no problem about giving declarer a free trick. And then any half-competent declarer is not going to expect the ace underlead and is going to mispick the position. So it's one of those things where underleading aces is a very bad idea in theory, but works a lot more often than one would expect, in my experience.
Yes, but declarer's not going to misread the situation when he has the king, and that is why you should only contemplate it when there's been, let's say, a strong no-trump in dummy, or even better, a 2 no-trump opening, and you think that by leading through, then you may cause a problem. Sort of lead that comes with no guarantees, and even if there is a 1 or 2 no-trump hand in the dummy, may be pretty hopeless. I mean, I remember underleading a king through the dummy, thinking that might prevent declarer from finessing if they thought it was a singleton lead in a suit contract, and dummy went down with Queen Jack and declarer had the ace, and so that's not a success to be remembered. Sort of lead you might try against a 5 or 6 level contract. The declarer has to guess whether to finesse at trick 1, and then runs in. If he plays safe, he may run into your jack to 4 trumps, not expecting to have lost a trump trick.
Tony Forrester's not much enjoying this hand.
No? No.
He's already lost 2 imps. It's not going to turn into 11. He's going to make it all right. But they did find a challenging defence.
Well, if he's going to leave the king anyway, why do you think he crossed to a diamond?
I really have no idea.
So there's an attempt
He can
to
claim. He can
there.
claim.
Nothing coming from that.
Draw the trump, please. Draw the trump.
Could have been one of my students, Bill. Miscounting trumps. So, well, no more trumps out.
Well, do you teach them to draw lurkers, Roland? You know, if you've got spare trumps, you should draw all the trumps and then play another round in case there's a lurker, an unexpected trump still out.
Well, if you can afford it, by all means do it. It's easier to claim. By the way, here's a serious question from a spectator. Have the commentators agreed or been told not to talk about the various cheating scandals around the world and its effect on the tournament? Let me tell you this. We haven't been told anything, but we have agreed amongst ourselves that we are not going to talk about, and I hope you understand that. It's not for us to discuss, really. We should focus on the bridge before us.
Anyone who is interested in such matters and to how people have been exposed has about a year's worth of reading on the Bridge Winners website. So they don't need us to add in our remarks, because on that site you've got every bridge player under the sun thinking he can add in a few comments, people that you've never heard of, no idea if they know what they're talking about. Thousands and thousands of comments. So there you go, that's the website to look at for all the information. Hidden in the middle of that partner had a no trump and someone had ventured to come in. So South doubles to take out and finds the heart fit. Oh, now, there we go.
Well, this should please you. David, this is a great English result.
Is it? Why?
Maybe not anymore. But there's still time. He's got to play his singles and spade, I think.
Yes, because if he gives partner a ruff, there's no defense. If he switches to a spade, a trick 2, then it's down.
What's more, I think he can see that, so I'm confident here. These are great defenders, these two. Come on, my friend. Yeah, it was no good, because I mean, if he gives him one ruff and the trump comes back, then partner won't have any trumps left, so that's no good.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, isn't it? You know that lead is the singleton because Declare has opened one no trump and has at least 2. You got this very big safety blanket of the ace of trumps, so it's a very easy defence, and that's why Robson found it so quickly. And here's a funny hand where once again a a slightly surprising 3-diamond opening, one that's perhaps not entirely kosher, has had the effect of putting the opponents right into their winning contract. A bit like the hand before, where a slightly off-centre 2-heart opening levered the opponents into 5 diamonds. In this one, the opponents have quite reasonably found their 4-4 heart fit and are going down.
Yeah. Double dummy. You would of course pull to 4 no trumps after you get double in 4 hearts, but that's all double dummy.
Well, I'm still a bit surprised by the double in the first place. That was quite a bold move for me.
Well, partner had overcalled. I'd describe it more as no, bold's all right, David. I'll let you off with bold. I think it's a very good bid. And some people, I've read there that it says, partner, I've got a singleton in your suit. I want roughs.
Yes, I mean, it has to be lead directing. You don't make a penalty double just because you've got 2 aces and pawn, or you overcalled there, because North-South know exactly what assets they've got. North has opened with a limit bid and South has carried him to game. So it's a waste of time just playing penalty doubles. We saw someone make a penalty double of a Robson-Forrester slam several days ago just because they had loads of points. It was promptly redoubled and it was very expensive because their pair bid the slam as well. So you would only double if it was lead directional, because here if he doesn't double, I mean, Forrester's going to lead the singleton diamond obviously, and the defence would be the same as it happens. So I think if that showed that he has a singleton in his partner's suit, then I've got a lot of time for the method. That's extremely interesting. I've never heard about that before.
So are you saying, Bill, that the double actually demands a spade lead because you show a spade shortage when you double?
There's a book by Matthew Granovetter that posed that particular convention, that these out-of-the-blue doubles say, partner, I've got a shortage in your suit, please lead it. I've only read it in one place and I was a little bit taken with it, so I thought I'd mention it here.
Several people are mentioning again the fact that 4 no trumps might have been made, and that is again why I was surprised about the double. I mean, say if you double on if you had 5 hearts on that bidding, wouldn't necessarily be a good bid, because they may then run to 4 no trumps, and had he not doubled they would still have got 4 hearts off on this hand. So pretty interesting all round.
Now here's swing coming, because the contract in the other room is 4 clubs.
Well, it might not be a swing. There'll be a swing of sorts.
It will be a swing, no matter what. Doesn't matter what happens to 4 hearts. It will be a swing. This will likely go 1 off, but it will still be a swing.
Might be just 1 imp.
That's a swing.
That's a swing. No arguing with that.
Five clubs is a fairly reasonable game, would make on the spade finesse. Don't know how highly Forrester was rating his hand facing a vulnerable 3 club overcall. see Forrester might place his partner with heart shortage on this bidding. Sounds as if they've got a 5-4 fit. That leaves Robson with only one heart. So I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't have a go at 5 clubs.
So we'll get our swing here. 1 imp.
Perhaps Tony Forrester thought his partner might be taking a bit of licence with the 3-club bid opposite his own passed hand, and didn't entirely trust that it would be as solid an overcall as that. Indeed, at the other table, West just bid 2 clubs, which is ostensibly a stronger bid than 3 clubs.
Yes, well, I think Robson, we've already seen, I think, even on the last hand where he doubled that heart game. He's a very bold and imaginative bidder, and certainly does take some risks, come in with some hands, with a mixture of results, and occasionally grumpy commentators complain if they misfire, and then I get told by such as Peter Crouch in the audience, well, that's his style, you've got to remember all the times it pays off. So in future I'll attempt to do that. Certainly Forrester and Robson have my full admiration as top players, as they were decades ago when they won so many of these invitational pairs events. Sad day for me and England supporters when they sort of vanished into the hinter growth, and we never saw them representing England for so many years. Absolutely marvellous that they're back here and doing so well in the Bermuda Bowl final.
Yes, well, having spent many years sitting opposite a bold and imaginative player, I've found it pays to be cautious and unimaginative in response, and perhaps that's what Forrester was there with his passing.
It's the same as being careful what you say when you're facing a bold and imaginative wife, I reckon.
Now I'm the bearer of good news again for you, David. The English women are as close as you can get to scoring a maximum of 20 VPs, because they're leading by 59.
Yeah, that's good. Even better if they get into the top 8. Don't expect they're there yet, but anyway, we'll expect them to finish strongly. All's well that ends well.
No, they're 2 point something away from 8th, Poland. But that's nothing. contract in
How many
the other
clubs
room
did
is,
one club promise?
2. I was
Two, did you say, Roland?
I said 2, yes. And the contract in the other room is 3 no trumps. That's not a surprise. But the way they bid it is surprising. Can you guess how it was bid 3 no trumps? Okay, never mind. Let me tell you. East Open 1 no trump. If we have 1 no trump, 3 no trumps. Oh, not quite. 1 no trump, 2 hearts over cord, and then 3 no trumps.
Ah, 3 no trumps denying a heart stopper, perhaps. Lebenssoul extension.
Denying a heart stopper, denying 4 spades. Fast arrival. So some play that method.
What's going on here?
We'll see an undo soon. I promise you. This is
You sure?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't understand 2 hearts or 2 spades, so shows how much. Well, maybe I understood 2 hearts. That's why I was asking you how many clubs was being shown by East. Anyway, I think they've had a right royal stuff up if this really is the contract.
What on earth is going on here? David, we need you to explain.
I think he's fainted.
Well, I'm feverishly looking at the 2 pages of small print, but there doesn't seem to be any particular section to explain what negative doubles mean or what they did after intervention. No, this particular sequence, Q-bidding and dropping it in 2 spades, does not feature heavily, understandably. I'll carry on looking anyway. I mean, one could see that, say they were playing standard, that Robson might not want to make a negative double when he doesn't have 4 spades. But if those pairs that play that 1 spade shows either 4 or 5 spades, then they can, or the double shows 4 or 5 spades, they can bid 1 spade to show they've got a negative double without 4 spades. But this just seems outrageous and such a shame after the strong performance up to now.
Yeah. Possible explanation is that 2 hearts interpreted as a transfer to spades. Could well be. But would West pass that after partner opened? I mean, he is looking at the 12 count. Why on earth would he pass?
Because he thought it was a crappy 12 count and his side's not vulnerable. He thought 2 spades was just natural, I guess.
Yeah.
But just talking about this auction, I mean, there is something to be taken from this muck-up, and that is that perhaps it's best here to play, when they overcall your minor suit opening with 1 heart, is to simply play 1 spade as showing 4 or more spades, and the double to deny 4 spades. Or you can do it vice versa. Whichever way you go, this this West hand can be shown nicely with a negative double, a spade denying negative double, or a spade denying 1 spade bid. And I think a lot of people have moved to that rather than try to distinguish between 4 spades and 5 spades. They've simply shown spades and left the other bid to show some decent values without spades. And I think that's a good way to play.
Yep.
The normal meaning of 2 hearts is to show a club fit. How many you should have when your partner's clubs may be only a doubleton is maybe exposed by this misunderstanding. But if Robson thought that partner is now denying clubs Don't know why you should think that, by the way, because if you found a club fit, you would tend to start showing stoppers to investigate whether 3-no trumps was on. If he thought that, he might think that partner had 4 spades and that his hearts were useless, the Queen-Jack, but I mean, it's inexplicable and not the sort of dicing with death that we would expect from a top-class pair.
Now, East-West play transfer responses, and I can assure you that people playing transfer responses would not bid 2 hearts to show club support. They have other ways of doing that. They would bid 1 spade. Most of them would bid 1 spade to deny spades, and now we are here in Bill's camp. They will bid 1 spade to deny spades for a start. If they want to set clubs, they would bid something else. They would double if they had spades.
Well, it's a little bit shocking that they had such a misunderstanding after a pretty simple auction. I think I'm going to have to phone my bookmaker and change my betting here.
Well, Forrester and Robson, and even more so perhaps Bakshi and Gold, have played fabulously well in the last couple of days, so it's hard to criticise them just for 1 screw-up, and I'm certainly not going to feel that way. They've played wonderfully well.
I don't think anyone is criticising them, David. We're just trying to figure out what went wrong for them.
No, I wasn't saying you were criticising them. It's amazing that none of us have, because it was a right royal screw-up for a top pair. Anyway, I don't suppose we'll ever find out what the reason for it was.
So they may get it back here, or at least some of it. They bid to 4 spades. And let's see, you have 2 certain club lizards and a heart. So,
Looking good.
Looking good, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just have to pick up the trumps. And I don't think that's going to be a problem.
No. So 6 imps back. Give and take. Two questions here. Or 1 statement, rather. They did well to put that last one behind them. I agree with that. Good players do that. Good pairs do that. And they say, well, nothing we can do. Let's move on. And the other one is a question. What is the correct way to play trumps? Well, since the opponents didn't bid, you would normally go for the drop. And whether you play to the ace or cast the king first, it doesn't really matter. It's 52 to 48 in favor of the drop. So over to you now, David. I finished.
Well, I'm just thinking that there are so many hundreds of words on their convention card. I really don't understand anyone inventing the format of a convention card without having a section explaining doubles. So I can't see anything on either sheet of characters which are smaller than the world's smallest ant, why they don't explain what their negative doubles mean, what a cubid means when people overcall, if it changes when 1 club is opened. You'd expect that would have been on the card, but there's nothing to even say if you play responsive doubles or even support doubles. Say they're meant to go, I dare say, in some general category of types of bid that you're meant to warn your partners by, but it's certainly very difficult for commentators looking at all these tiny little letters trying to find out what on earth one club, one heart, two hearts means. Here, I mean, we say that they haven't let it affect them, but in fact they have bid very, very forwardly with on these values, and they've found an absolutely perfect fit with all the diamond honours there and nothing wasted in clubs opposite the doubleton. So maybe they did let the last one affect them and they wanted to catch it up, and they've managed to do it.
Let's explain the bidding. One heart showed spades. The jump to two spades showed a minimum with 4 card support. So the same as if in a natural system, East responds 1 spade. So East invited game, which is a little pushy. I agree with that. A 9 count, but he has the 5th spade and a doubleton, so I don't think that's unreasonable. But it was a little pushy, and that then Robson accepted the invite. Sorry, Bill, you were going to say something?
I was just going to observe that I don't like the WBF convention card. I was sort of following on from David's point. I find it incredibly difficult to read, and I'm sure it could be designed better. I was supporting his point about the system card.
Well, it's very kind of you to volunteer for the job, Bill. I look forward to admiring your workmanship.
No, he let his partner do it. I think Ben Thompson is very good at designing things, isn't he, Bill?
Oh, he is. That's why I play with him, Roland. He does all this convention card filling out. I don't keep score at the table. I just sit there and play.
You see here that Robson doesn't want to commit to playing trumps too early, not knowing what to do really. Maybe he could get some information regarding the shape in other suits to see who rates to be longer in spades, if anyone. But that's of course not without danger. He's safe. I mean, if they play another diamond, he simply has to go after trump. Anything is too dangerous now after that. And he won't be any wiser than he was earlier.
Quite an amazing pair of boards, because on the face of it, Robson chose to take a very, very conservative bid on the previous hand, and now they've bid game with a 9 count facing a known weak-no trump, which is just the opposite on the next one. I mean, there are pairs which are very well known for bidding conservatively all the way along, and others who are known to play very aggressively, but it's unusual to find pairs who are mixing it up between the two. You always run the risk then that you may get a bad board on both hands.
That's another way of locating the queen of trumps. Let the opponents play it for you. This is quite funny. he got what he was after, the queen of spades.
Yes, these great players, they guess missing queens a lot more often than humble players such as BBO commentators do.
Speak for yourself. We are not humble players. We are players.
You're not humble? That's a sin then.
I didn't say that. I said we are not humble players.
Well, you are players, so if you're not humble players, you're not humble. That's a question of GCSE logic.
Right, last board of the match. And David is our toastmaster once again. He's very good at it.
Right. Well, I'll keep it short because we're hoping something interesting may happen on this. When we come to the last board, the first person we always thank is the wonderful view graph operator. We all know what a difficult task that is, and we've been really lucky today. We've had very good service from our guy, whoever it is. And in general, unless I'm imagining it, I think maybe the standard of the operators has improved as the days go by. Saw quite a lot of accounts of the play get truncated prematurely early on, but I think it's been better on the last couple of days. So many thanks to him. Many thanks to my favourite two co-commentators, Bill Jacobs and Roland Bell. And thanks as always to BBO for letting us enjoy this great championship. Just imagine that, being able to see England play China and then USA 1 play China when you just get up on some, when you're retired and you get up on some nondescript day, even if it is fairly sunny outside, which it has been for the last few days. I've enjoyed watching this Bermuda Bowl tremendously, and of course we're only halfway through with all the real fireworks still to come, so it's been absolutely great. So, over to someone else to say what's going to happen on this hand.
Well, two-note trumps might shock horror be a natural bid. It's one of the very few natural two-note trump bids that we're going to see in this event.
Would be a thin game to try, but from England's point of view they would be at any rate lucky to find the Queen of Clubs on side. They say that it's not a good sign when you're missing 3 aces and you attempt 3 no trumps. And a couple of months ago we saw, was it? Maybe it was longer ago, but we saw some declare attempting it with 4 aces missing. That was in the European Open. I remember making some joke about it when I wrote a report for the Bulletin.
Well, Robson doesn't exactly have a great hand, but he's seen red at this point. He's seen the vulnerability, and it's amazing how often these ultra-thin, vulnerable games make. And in this case, I think it will make. I don't quite see how you can beat it with the club queen on side.
I'm not sure Robson's going to bid 3 no trumps. There's a possibility that he may bid 3 clubs, letting his partner know that it will be important for him to have a fitting card like the Queen or Ace of Clubs to give them a chance, but it just would seem to be a bit of a pot. Partner is 11 or 12 and you've only got that hand.
Well, it's a tough decision, isn't it? Really? What to do with the West hand? Pass could be right, 3 clubs could be right, even 3 no trumps could be right. I don't think it's easy.
Well, if anything, you might have expected Forrester to have a go. He's sitting there with King Queen of Hearts over the doubler, Ace Queen of Diamonds over the doubler. Partners opened vulnerable, so he might well have bid 3-no trumps. If they don't get there, then certainly won't be Robson's fault.
But
Why do they want to get there anyway? Just because it happens, so the cards happen to lie fairly well.
Yes, that was one of my points, David. You don't really have the values to bid 3-no. Secondly, I don't think you can blame Forrester for not bidding 3 himself. I mean, he has a small doubleton club. If he had Honor X,
say they get a spade lead against 3-no trumps, then
okay.
Does that 7 of spades become valuable?
I don't think David can hear me because I was in the middle of a sentence and he doesn't have a delay.
Yes, spades to the ace, 4 of spades, original 4th best back, and then Forrester would have to insert the 7. So 3-no trumps hasn't exactly made yet.
No.
So you reckon the 4 back would be right rather than the 9 to cater for this situation, do you, Bill?
No, I wasn't. I'm not sure what's the right play. I was just looking at the sort of double dummy situation. And if Liu knew that his partner has 4 spades, let me see now. Could it be right to play the 9 back to hold a finesse position? Possibly. I think Robson's problem is that nothing's very attractive. I mean, in these situations, you can often think that, well, 3 clubs might have about the same play as 3-no trumps, and the payoff is greater if it makes. So I think the pause here was because everything was so damned unattractive.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Bill.
Well,
now,
I agree with you.
Robson knows that for 3-no trumps to make, clubs must come in, right? When partner has invited opposite his 11 count. So I think 3 clubs is a good bid. And say, well, I don't want to be in 3-no trumps unless you have a club fit partner.
Exactly. I was to bid 3-no trumps, so with that king being a singleton under the bidder, that would be pretty wild effort. I think 3 clubs was good, and I was going to say also that I don't think Forrester necessarily has a doubleton club. Following his redouble, quite often he would have a singleton club, and he would still have to bid 2-no trumps over 2 clubs if his point count warranted it. The other thing that didn't occur to me at the time, I didn't look closely enough at the auction, is that of course West has rebid 2 clubs in the face of a